Yeah. Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and the Doc coming back here for Week 8, talking some injuries. You're showing us your teams. We're dipping in the mailbag, so make sure you check this timestamps out down below because we got you covered, whatever it is you're looking for. And Ethan, as we get ready to dive into injuries here again, I want to say it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad.
It's not as bad. We've had worse weeks this year.
Right.
Let's put it this way. But, I mean, it is bad because there's lots of players we're not talking about because they're already ruled out this week, and we've talked about them weeks ago, and they're still hurt, and they're not really close to coming back, so we don't have to talk about them, which is kind of a bummer. You should already know that those guys are hurt. But
yeah, but, I mean, it's only fitting that myself here, as a Arizona native, no longer in Arizona, I think that we need to start off here with a moment of silence for one of my Cardinals, Ethan.
We actually do. And at first I thought, maybe we shouldn't talk about this guy. He's not really, unless you play on IDP, he doesn't really, I don't want to say he doesn't matter, but he doesn't matter for fantasy as much. But JJ Watt, man, this guy can't catch a break. He was diving to make a tackle and got his arm kind of rolled up under himself, and he's a big boy. So
yeah,
when
he's not small.
When you land on your shoulder and all of your weight is running full speed and you weigh and move as fast as he does and as much as he does, it tears up your shoulder pretty bad. So he had a dislocated shoulder. Now get this, Jake. Could be an anatomy lesson, honestly.
Let me make
dislocated shoulder, torn bicep tendon, torn rotator cuff, torn labrum. There's not many other things that you can mess up in your shoulder.
So is his shoulder basically just held on with skin at this point?
I mean, he probably didn't tear his entire rotator cuff because it's 4 muscles, but more than likely he tore the supraspinatus because that's typically the one you tear when you tear your bicep. Supra, above the spine of your scapula, not your actual spine. Sorry, not going into anatomy lessons. Normal recovery for something like this is 3 to 6 months. Pretty much effectively ending his season. Like JJ Watt's probably not coming back this year unless you guys make a huge run into the playoffs. Yeah. And we have to have a moment of silence.
Yeah, I hate to lose JJ Watt. Now, not that he was out there like vintage JJ. He was playing pretty good, but he was like the vocal leader on the defense. So now some of these young kids going to have to step up. Plus, they get Chandler Jones back, which makes me happy. Okay, there are a few players that we already know that are not playing. They're already ruled out. There's a few get out of here's for Week 8.
Yeah, first up, we got Dawson Knox. He has a broken hand. He had surgery last week, but the team was on a bye, so we didn't really talk about him that much. He is expected to miss about 3 more weeks with this. I'm hoping that this leads to more targets, potentially some boom weeks for Stephon Diggs, who has been okay, but not as great as we want. And so I need more from Stephon Diggs. The next get out of here, we got 2 guys, and this one actually doesn't really apply for the rest of the week, but it's just worth talking about. Davante Adams and Alan Lazard are out with COVID. They didn't travel with the team, and they weren't cleared to play last night. I do expect Davante Adams to be back for sure by their next game, most likely just based on what we've seen with COVID timelines thus far this season. Typically, they miss a week and then they come back the next week. We're hoping that this isn't a long-term COVID issue, which we have seen in the past, especially for Davante Adams, because he's a stud. So we don't want to miss him too much.
No, we do not. We need him in fantasy lineups everywhere, hopefully as soon as next week. Okay, so those are the few that we had that we already know about. Outside of that, it's a lot of question marks, and this is usually where we kind of break it down into positions, and I kind of just let you rapid fire. I'll sit here, I'll make weird faces when you say big words. I may, throw little nuggets in there from time to time, but nothing educational that I'm going to say. This is your time to shine, Doc. So let's start off with the quarterbacks here this week.
Yeah, first up, we got Dak Prescott. He's kind of the big name in terms of quarterbacks. He's dealing with a calf strain. This happened kind of on the last play of week 6, and so not very many people were talking about it. He's been limited in practice since then with a grade 1 strain. Typically, the muscle is just stretched. It's not completely torn. But there is a good chance that he plays in some capacity this week. His mobility is probably going to be limited. His re-injury risk is very high with calf strains. He's a game time decision, though, so it's not a full lock that he's going to play. I'm hoping by Saturday we know for sure if he's playing or not, but I'd still kind of have a backup ready for him on Sunday just in case the team opts to kind of protect him from himself. Dak wants to play. He said that he wants to play, that he expects to play, but sometimes the teams, especially with quarterbacks, they'll err on the side of caution with something like this because this team, probably a playoff team, potentially a Super Bowl team if they can. This offense is definitely Super Bowl ready, but that all revolves around Dak Prescott being healthy. So they're probably going to play the long game with him.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Smarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we got another team that maybe not completely relying on their quarterback, but definitely need him to be healthy to make noise. And that's the Browns and Baker Mayfield. He had a labrum tear a couple weeks ago. He missed last week on the short week. He was limited in practice this week, and the injury is in his off shoulder. So we know he's going to have surgery on this at some point, but it is reportedly not bad enough that he won't be able to play. He's looking like he's going to practice in a limited capacity all week, and he thinks he's playing against the Steelers. I would not personally, just knowing what the Steelers defense looks like, I would not throw an injured quarterback to them. I think it could be a really, really ugly game for Mayfield if he comes out and is not at 100%, and he's got TJ Watt chasing him down all day. I would not be starting him in fantasy unless I absolutely had to.
No, I wasn't starting Baker when he was healthy. I'm not going to start him when he's injured. Okay, what about dudes who catch balls for living, Ethan? We got a few of them out there, a lot of them on one team. I mean, we might as well I'd like to just shorten and just say the Giants instead of like everybody, but it's pretty much their entire wide receiver room, not named Dante Pettis, who's having a reemergence in the NFL. Everybody else, though, how are we looking for week 8?
I wouldn't say good. Kadarius Toney is probably the one most people want to know about. He's dealing with an ankle sprain that he re-aggravated in week 6. He hasn't practiced yet this week. Doesn't appear to be on track to play, but again, with ankles, sometimes you can tape them up day of and they feel pretty good and they'll let him play. The fact that he re-aggravated it does kind of, increase his risk. He's already hurt it twice now, once initially and then the re-aggravation. So that's a bit concerning. Kenny Golladay has been dressing for practice, but isn't actually practicing. So I guess that means there's a chance that he plays. But he is still at a high risk for re-injury with his hamstring strain. We've seen this over and over again, and we'll talk a few more times, especially with wide receivers, that hamstrings tend to have an issue of popping up again and again and again if you don't give them enough rest. Kenny Golladay is trying to get there, but it's not looking likely. His teammate, Sterling Shepard, is probably the poster boy for why we should not trust guys coming off of hamstring injuries. He looked like he was on track to play and then had a setback late in the week last week and was scratched. So Sterling Shepard is practicing. I've seen some videos. It looks like he's moving okay. I don't think he's in danger of missing this week. But again, last week it was right up into the end of the week and then he, hurt it again and missed it. So it's kind of a ticking time bomb when we're talking about hamstring strains. All three of these guys are pretty risky options. The team plays Monday night.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Typically, I don't advise starting or planning on starting injured players that are questionable if they're playing on Monday night, just because there's a lot of risk and your upside for replacement is pretty low because you're down to just one game. So if you're going to play them, put them in your flex, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, and not ideal. I mean, maybe you're in a deeper league. You don't have much of a choice. Maybe you have Dante Pettis on your bench. You can pencil in a Sterling Shepard or something, and if it doesn't happen, you can swap him out with Dante Pettis, something like that. But you got to make sure you have another option on Monday night. All right, who else we got at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, we got Deebo Samuel. He's dealing with a calf strain. He kind of popped up on the injury report this week with the rest day on Wednesday. He returned on Thursday. He's expected to play, so this is really just an update for everyone. He's pretty much a must start at this point until he proves otherwise. Deebo's just absolutely blowing it up this year. I know that he has had injuries in the past, so this is worth knowing, but it doesn't look like it's something that's going to affect him this week.
Perfect.
Next up, we got Antonio Brown. He's dealing with an ankle sprain. He played through this actually in week 6, but then he missed week 7. So sometimes with ankle sprains, players are able to play through, but then it actually gets worse once they stop playing. So you lose that adrenaline, you stop moving, so it starts swelling up a lot more, and then the pain sets in. So you lose that range of motion, and the pain gets worse actually after they stop playing. So I think with Antonio Brown, we're probably expecting him to miss this week. I think the team's going to be pretty cautious. They have a bye week coming up next week. I don't plan on him returning this week at all.
No, and I think that, I mean, hey, I heard something he was on a crutch.
He was on a crutch doing walkthroughs, so it doesn't look good for Antonio Brown.
No, he may be somebody, like you said, maybe after the bye week, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. Next up, we got Allen Robinson. He's dealing with his own ankle injury. He's been kind of limited with this for the last few weeks. Personally, it doesn't look like that's the thing that's limiting him on Sundays. I think the problem is his quarterback play. He's pretty touchdown dependent at this point, kind of a wide receiver 3 option. I hate that I have to think that way about Allen Robinson because I do think he's really talented, but he's just not getting the high value touches, the opportunities that we would expect from a player of that caliber of talent. What does this guy have to do to get some consistent quarterback play? I feel like this has been the story for him his whole career.
Well, the biggest issue, too, in my opinion, is everything that they're doing with Allen Robinson between him and Justin Fields is like deep down the field. Like, why not get this guy going underneath? Like, rack up some receptions, do some short crossing routes, a few comebacks, just get the chemistry going. Everything they're trying to do is deep down the field, contested, and it's a hot mess.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Speaking of not working, Julio Jones has a hamstring that's not
We're
working.
talking about Kyle. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kyle, too. Julio Jones, though, hamstring strain, not working out well for him. 2 weeks in a row now, we've seen him try to play through a hamstring strain, re-aggravate it during the game. So you think you can play him, and then he puts up what you think is about to become a good game, and then he's out for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
With Julio Jones, so far this year, if he has missed a full week of practice, he hasn't played that week. The 2 games he's missed, he didn't practice at all leading up to it. He hasn't practiced as of Thursday. If he doesn't practice on Friday, a lot higher chance that he doesn't play on Sunday. But even if he does play, I am actually really struggling to justify starting him if you have any other options, just because, again, this is clearly not something that he's gotten over yet. And you're really limiting your upside, even with a guy like Julio Jones, that he's going to play a little bit and then get hurt again, or it's going to tighten up on him. And then you're out another week of just, subpar production. So if you got another option, you can pencil Julio Jones in to potentially play if he practices on Friday or Saturday, but I would not be expecting huge weeks from him until we see it. It's basically wait until you see.
Perfect.
Last up here, we got 3 wide receivers, same team. So I guess this is technically the Giants and the Browns show.
Okay.
We got OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. OBJ is dealing with a shoulder strain that kept him out of most of last week's games. Shoulder strains are really difficult to judge because the problem is that a lot of times you can play through the pain. It's a pain limiter, but the re-injury risk is actually the highest in wide receivers. If you think about it, every time you make a catch and get tackled, your shoulder is hitting the ground. And so we see this a lot more with wide receivers where this is something that just comes up over and over and over again. For me, OBJ is a sit until he can show that he can do anything. He really hasn't had a great game yet this year. And I kind of warned everybody about this in our draft guide that OBJ was probably somebody that I would be wanting to avoid. So hopefully you pick that up, and hopefully you don't have to worry about this headache that is OBJ. Is he playing? Is he not playing? Or trusting him to. Next up, we got Jarvis Landry. He aggravated his knee after returning from injury last week. So we were excited, and then we're disappointed again.
Yes.
He was limited on Thursday. It doesn't appear like he's going to miss. He is very confident that he's going to play. Again, that sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt because players always think they're ready to play. But this one, I think I probably agree. He probably is ready to play again. It seemed like he just kind of tweaked it at the end of last week's game. Donovan Peoples-Jones is dealing with a groin strain he suffered in pregame warmups. Yeah, that sucks when you're
that
playing
blows.
fantasy and you get hurt literally 5 minutes before the game. A lot of players are disappointed. They played him, thought he was going to have a big week, and then he gets scratched literally game time decision up to like the minute. We found out that he wasn't going to play. He hasn't practiced yet this week. Doesn't look like he's playing this week either.
Bummer. Well, way to end it on a positive, Ethan. He ain't playing either.
Have I ever said anything positive on this show? I feel like you only pay me to just be
the second half of the show, you see a lot more positivity. You're a lot more positive when we have fun making fun of people's handwriting. Okay, let's move on now. And how I'm going to refer to running backs going forward, I said this in my show. I think it was my running back show. These are guys who grab their balls and hit holes for livings. So this is how I'm going to now classify running backs. Ethan, who we got?
First up, we got Miles Sanders.
That happened.
He's dealing with an ankle/foot injury. Not exactly sure what's going on here. They've already said that they expect him to miss 2 to 3 weeks, but he technically hasn't been ruled out this week yet. So we don't know for sure, but we're like 99.99% sure he's not playing. Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott's one of those two guys is probably going to be the bell cow. I thought it was going to be Kenny Gainwell, but then he fumbled last week when he had a chance, and then Boston Scott came in and pretty much took over the touches from there on out. So I still probably lean towards Gainwell, but both of those guys are RB3s, maybe RB2 with some little bit of upside if one of them really takes the reins. But Miles Sanders is not playing. And again, Miles Sanders is like wet socks. You don't really like playing him in him.
When he was healthy, Nick Sirianni wasn't really playing him either. So what's the difference going in here to week 8? Nick Sirianni is too busy out there trying to teach people how to grow flowers or something. I don't know. His press conference was stupid. Anyway.
Not great.
Not
if you were planning on Miles, if you were devastated by this injury, your team probably wasn't very good. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Next up, we got your boy, Nick Chubb. He's dealing with a calf strain, unexpectedly scratched the last 2 weeks with this calf strain. Reports are that he is expected to play in week 8, but I don't think that we see a full workload right off the bat. We do actually have some very close evidence of the risk of calf strains. We saw with Kareem Hunt. He tried to play on a calf strain, re-injured it. It got worse. He got put on IR. We don't even know when Kareem Hunt's going to come back. I'm thinking it's going to be longer than the 3-week short-term IR. But we're hoping that with Nick Chubb getting almost 3 full weeks of rest, that he will not have that issue that Kareem Hunt ran into. I think the organization is going to try to keep him healthy. I think that Dearness Johnson earned some carries in this backfield. So it's probably not a ceiling game for Nick Chubb, but if he's playing, you have to play him.
Okay. That's okay. About as good as we can get right now, I guess.
Which means he's probably going to blow up in my face because that's kind of how it happens.
Perfect.
Yeah, don't say it like that. That's weird. Saquon Barkley. Barkley is still recovering from the ankle sprain. It's kept him out since week 5. He hasn't officially practiced yet. And the team is playing on Monday night, which means if you're planning on holding out to see if he plays, he needs to be in your flex spot and you need to have a backup in place.
Yeah.
I personally think we're probably looking at, week 11 right after their bye. They have a bye week in week 10. So we're still waiting on Saquon Barkley. Unlikely we see him in the next 2 weeks. I think they're going to hold out, wait till week 11. So, kind of plan around maybe having him back at somewhat full strength at that point for the second half of the season. And honestly, that's not the worst thing in the world for fantasy owners. It's actually kind of nice if you're trying to acquire him to have that in the back of your mind, like, okay, plan on week 11. And if he gives you week 9, like be happy with it.
Yeah.
I am probably aggressively targeting Saquon Barkley in trades right around now.
Perfect.
Next up, we got DeAndre Swift. He had a groin strain in the preseason. He hasn't missed a game yet with this, but he has been limited every single week in practice. They're listing this as the reason. Dan Campbell actually came out and admitted that Swift still occasionally has discomfort in that region after games, especially, but it doesn't look like his play is really being affected that much. I'd expect him to keep playing unless we see like a significant re-injury. So there is some slight risk that DeAndre Swift will get hurt, but again, he's one of those guys that you're plugging in until literally you can't.
I just like how you called it the region.
Yeah, I said the region.
In that
What
region.
I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about.
Everybody
okay?
knows. Everybody knows.
Next up, we got Alex Collins. He's also dealing with a region strain or groin strain, however you want to say it. He did manage to play last week. He is practicing. I'm expecting him to play, but he's banged up. Rashad Penny made me look like a fool last week.
Pity the fool.
Yeah, not happy. And so I'm avoiding both of them. Because Collins isn't healthy and Rashad Penny is a scrub, and scrubs don't get no love from Ethan. Okay. Last up here, we got probably the most important name we're going to talk about, and that's Austin Ekeler. He practiced on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday. They're listing it as a hip injury. We have no idea if this is related to his hamstring strains from this year and last year. We don't know. All we know is that he didn't practice at all on Thursday, and we don't like to see those types of things. Okay. The team was on a bye last week, so it doesn't seem like this happened in week 6, but he did only have 10 touches in that game. So I guess technically it is possible that he's been dealing with this, and we just didn't hear about it because the team was on bye. Pay attention to Austin Ekeler. The backup situation there is not sexy at all. So I'm probably avoiding the backups, if Austin Ekeler is out. But just keep an eye on this, because don't expect Austin Ekeler to, be a lock this week to play.
Yep, I agree. And you know what they say about hips, Ethan? They don't lie.
They don't lie.
All right, let's move on to a couple tight ends, the football kind. Who we got there?
Yeah, first up, we got TJ Hockenson. He remains limited with ankle and knee injuries that he's been dealing with. He's just one of those guys that's just kind of always dinged up. Doesn't seem like this is really, affecting him or causing him not to play. It is a bit discouraging that we just haven't seen him score a touchdown since these injuries first popped up in week 3. But he's got 20 targets over his last 2 games. Still a really high tight end floor. You're playing TJ Hockenson if he plays. It doesn't look like he's going to miss this week. Evan Engram, he's dealing with a calf strain. He was limited in practice. Pretty much everybody on the Giants is hurt.
Yep, everybody.
Which is just called the Giants hurt. Evan Engram, though, of all the players that are hurt on the Giants, seems to be the safest-ish injured player in terms of being able to start on Monday Night Football. If you have a better tight end, I'd probably just plug him in. But again, Evan Engram at least appears to be ready to play on Monday, which means he's the biggest trap in fantasy, and you should avoid him at all costs. Last up, we got Jonnu Smith. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. Really disappointing because he was on his way to a breakout game last week, I think. Probably his best game of the season thus far. Left in the second quarter with a shoulder injury. Don't really know a whole lot about it. Thank you, Patriots, for being super seeky. Seeky?
Is that a word? I don't think it's a word.
Seeky. I'm making up words. We don't care. Jonnu Smith has been practicing all week, should play.
Well, all right. And then, hey, bonus for the viewers out there, a new word, add it to the vocab. Okay, so now there's a couple players, and I know we've been talking about injuries for a while, but you're saying there's a chance on here, just a couple players who we may have been without for a while, but do we get them back potentially here this week?
Yeah, first up, we got Rob Gronkowski. He's been dealing with broken ribs, a punctured lung. He has been practicing, expected to return. First time we've seen him since week 3. Very exciting for the tight end position because we need the tight ends that are healthy, that are good, okay? Rob Gronkowski, his return probably limits the touchdown upside of Mike Evans a little bit. Evans has scored 5 touchdowns in the 4 games since Gronk was out, scored 3 last week.
Yep.
So it does Rob Gronkowski affect Mike Evans a little bit? Yeah, probably, but it helps the offense as a whole. So it's probably going to, kind of cancel each other out there. Next up, we got Jeudy. He's been designated to return from IR. He wasn't able to get cleared last week. It does look like he's going to be able to play this week. He's coming off a high ankle sprain. So high ankle sprains affect wide receivers a little bit less when they come back compared to running backs. So he is probably startable, especially in PPR leagues, but I'm not expecting like a major, huge game. But I don't think he's going to be crazy limited either. Probably looking at 70 to 80% snap counts here for Jeudy in his first game back. And again, if you really need a wide receiver 4, he's not a bad option because I do think he's going to, play and get some targets. Last up, we got Michael Thomas. Everybody asks me about Michael Thomas every single week, so I'm adding him here. He's not practicing yet. He's still coming off the ankle surgery. He's not expected to play anytime soon. Probably at least 2 more weeks out, if not more. The team's already had their bye, so we can't even like look ahead and project maybe to after that. They've already had their bye. So he's just going to keep racking up games missed. Again, I hate to do this, Jake. I hate to be that guy who says I told you so, but if you went to our draft guide, I said avoid Michael Thomas. Don't draft him. Don't waste the pick. You could have picked up a guy like Deebo Samuel, who I did say to draft around the same price tag, and you could be crushing it right now. So if you don't buy the draft guide, you really should.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of great information in there on a yearly basis. Unlike all the people that are injured right now, which is very bad information, Ethan. Bad information.
I'm doing my best.
No, the information you're providing is great, but the information itself is not good because it doesn't give us the warm fuzzy on the inside on a weekly basis. But you know what does give us that warm fuzzy, Ethan? When people show us their teams.
When
people show us your teams. So here we go, Ethan. We're going to have some fun. We're going to rapid fire through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 of them. So we're going to have to go through these pretty quick. We're going to critique. This is what we're going to do, Ethan. I'm going to lay down a couple ground rules. Okay? Are you focused?
I don't do well with rules. But
I know. That's why we're going to make direct eye contact here for a second. Immediate. This is how we're going to judge it. First thing, team name. Second thing, handwriting. Third thing, proper player placement. So if they have somebody on their bench that needs to be in their starting lineup, we're going to say it. And then lastly, we're going to give it a quick, we'll go a 1 through 5 score. 5 being amazing, 1 being you suck.
Okay.
You got all that?
Yes. 5 is amazing. 1 is Kyle sucks. Got it.
Basically. All right, here we go. First one, Nate Moore on Twitter at Nate No More. He decided to go, I'm making, I can't even break my own rules. I almost broke my own rules. We'll talk about the lineup. Let's talk about the team name first.
Name first.
Embolden the Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
You like that or no?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay. I love it. Chubb is just such a great player to make team names around.
Okay, so does he have Nick Chubb? That's rule number 1.
Well, his handwriting is pretty rough. It looks like Lick Chubb to me.
It looks like Lick Chubb or Rick Chubb. I mean, one of the two. Doesn't look like there's no way on earth that's an N for Nick Chubb. Not
that's
even
a really
close.
Ugly N.
So the handwriting is where we're going to next. Now, the handwriting we're going to mix in here with the artwork because he decided to draw the logos of the teams in which the player plays for.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
I dig it.
I'm kind of confused as to why Mike Williams, the M in Mike, kind of looks like the L or R in Nick. Like it kind of looks like it's like they're in the same family. Like that doesn't look like an M for Mike Williams, does it?
Well, it does kind of look like the apparently supposed to be an N for Nick, but with an extra squibble. So I can, maybe this guy has his own way of drawing capital N's and M's. One
thing is for sure though, that is the best damn hand drawn in a quick minute Buffalo Bill I've ever seen.
It's really good. Dude, I'm pretty impressed.
Way impressed.
That much effort for a kicker, just unbelievable.
Yeah, mind blowing. Okay,
handwriting is pretty. It's actually really like flowy and beautiful. So I feel like I'm judging it too toughly. But like, what's going on with Cooper Kupp? Because it looks like Capo. I think that's a cup, but it looks like it may be just KPP.
It's Capo Kupp.
Capo Cup.
When you're that good of a wide receiver in fantasy football, you can just call yourself whatever the hell you want to call yourself.
He's the Capo Cup.
The handwriting for the team, the players in the starting lineup compared to the bench looks different. Looks like slightly different handwriting. It's not, but it's like he had more room to work with. I'm pretty sure this is a case of where he drew the logos first and didn't exactly have room for some of the names. But overall, pretty solid. On the bench, are we starting Brandon Ayuk? No, I'm not. Jalen Waddle, not over the guys he's got in his lineup.
Do you like Jalen Waddle over Brandon Bolden?
Oh, I didn't even see Brandon Bolden in there as his flex. Oh, emboldened Chubb. Now I get it. He's got Bolden too.
Bolden the Chubb.
Maybe.
That's the only one that I would maybe consider.
But it's such a tough matchup for him going up against Buffalo. Here's a stupid question. Maybe it's not so stupid. You just mentioned in your injury recap about Nick Chubb maybe not being 100% and splitting some touches with Dearness Johnson, who earned some more work based off of last week. Do you start both Dearness and Chubb?
No, I feel like that limits you because they can't both score touchdowns at the same time.
Not on the same carry anyway.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's not that they both can't score touchdowns. I'm saying you're limiting your upside because if one is scoring a touchdown, the other is not.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
that makes sense.
You know, I would maybe consider Jalen Waddle because it's a full PPR over Brandon Bolden, but everybody else looks good.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Overall, give it a score 1 to 5.
It's a solid 4. The starting lineup is solid. Hopefully Austin Ekeler is actually healthy and will play. But besides that, pretty good.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3.76.
Okay. I didn't know we were allowed to do points.
Anyway, now you know.
That rounds up to a 4. So
that's right. Moving on. Next, we have Habib. He's got the Pokeballers. Team name off the bat. I'm not entirely on board with the Pokeballers. Are you?
Well, Jake, it's because you're an old man. You never went through a Pokemon
That's that's probably
Me and
partially
Habib
true.
probably did, and I can relate to this team name.
I mean, I know.
The real question is who's your go-to Gen 1 starter? We'll see if Habib can answer that in the comments. Jake doesn't even know what I'm talking about. Might as well be talking in code. Habib, let me know, Gen 1 starter, who you chose, because that will tell me more about you than this team.
Is it Charizard?
God, you're an idiot. No, the starter is not Charizard. You don't start with the best fire type in the game.
I had no idea. I didn't know there was rules to such things. All right. So obviously you like the team name way more than I do. Handwriting. What do you think about the handwriting?
It's good. It's good. Pretty solid. I don't see any major errors.
I mean, last time I checked, Fitzmagic didn't end with a K. That's a problem. But I kind of like it because
maybe that's a cultural thing. Have you considered that?
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, now you know.
The fact that it's a misspell, but it's still of a nickname, I can't really hold it against him because he was trying to misspell it to begin with. So not going to penalize any. There's no deductions for that. What about the rest of his bench here? Are we starting Jameis Winston? Hell yes, I am. Because he's starting Geno Smith as his quarterback too.
Oh yeah, give me Jameis.
Do not start Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is trash.
Don't. You don't want to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm 100% starting Winston over Geno Smith this week. So I would make that change. Kenyon Drake? No, unless you lose Austin Ekeler for whatever reason that is. But that's the only thing I'm looking there. Madison, no. Parker, no. Ingram, no. Panthers, no. So overall, I think how you have it is just fine, but you just need to really pay close attention to Austin Ekeler. You see anything else?
Nope, I think that's what I would have said too.
All right, perfect. So so we had the team name, we had the handwriting, we had the overall roster. What's your score?
I'm going to go with a solid 3. I'm just not loving the starters as much. The fact that you have to start Brandon Ayuk is just
that's a
really
problem
tough
too.
for me.
I'm taking a slight deduction for the fact that you still wrote Geno Smith's name in a. I'm going to take a deduction because you own Geno Smith.
Well, we should also take a deduction because he put a frowny face.
Yeah.
So Habib knows
that he's not a good start.
That he's not a good starter, but you have a perfectly fine QB2 on your bench.
Yep.
So switch him out.
Yep. I'm going to go with a 2.96. Slight deduction.
2 or 3.
All right. Moving on. Next up, we have Juan Solis. Well, I see Juan around all the time. He has decided to add some fancy artwork. I'm talking top-notch artwork here. He's got stick figures, and he knows that I love stick figures. His team name.
Which one
here,
is me? Do you think I'm more the one on the right with the messed up head?
Yeah.
It has to be the one on the right because I have the floofy hair.
It's the right, and that's not your head messed up. That's the curl that's hanging down, Ethan.
Yeah, that's one of the curls.
He knows about it. It was a preemptive curl.
Juan knows.
So the team name, Rate My Chubb. Or no, his team name is Big Nick Energy is the team name.
Yes.
I like that.
That's pretty funny.
Hopefully, we're going to look at the roster here in a second, and hopefully he's got Nick Chubb. All right, now we're moving on to handwriting. Overall, very dude-ish, right? Basic dude quick, handwriting right here.
Skinny letters.
Yep. Not always touching the lines. It's kind of just, He referred to his IR as men down. I like that. So a different way of doing it. So overall, he's got the hashtags on there. Got let it flow. Now, I'm guessing this is a table.
No, it's a bench. He's a bench warmer.
Oh, bench
These are guys on the bench.
Oh, I thought we were going some old school Bills Mafia. We're throwing people through tables.
No, I thought that at first, but it is clearly a bench.
Okay, I guess it is called bench warmers. All right, let's look at the overall roster here. Love the start of Josh Allen. Great start for him this week. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Does he have any better wide receivers?
Not really.
No, because we're not going to start Julio. We just talked about that. We're not starting Julio over either one of those guys. Now, here's where we need to take a second, Ethan, because when you get to his running backs, I can clearly see that it's Cordero Patterson as his running back too.
Yeah, and I like that he put C. Patterson because he probably was worried he would misspell Cordero and that we would definitely make fun of that, which we would have.
Definitely.
But tell me if you see this, Jake.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Does that say Dick Chubbington?
100% that says Dick Chubbington.
I think it does say Dick Chubbington.
I mean, there's no way that says anything other than Dick Chubbington. I mean, it's just perfect. The way that he has the N connected with the K, it's like it fits. It's Dick Chubbington.
It just fits.
Yeah. Do you think there's a reason why when we moved down to his tight end spot that Higbee didn't even get a T before it? Why is everybody's name got like initials or name spelled out? It's just Higbee.
Well, I think we just assume we know Higbee. There's no other Higbees. And that does technically follow my allowed rules for abbreviating player names, because if there's no other player that they could possibly be confused for and you know immediately who it is, then you're allowed to just put their last name. That's one of the rules.
Who's another running back that's Gibson?
Well, I don't know for sure, but we know that that's Antonio Gibson because he put a little A there.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Great explanation.
I don't know who Dick Chubbington is, but
now my biggest question here is I'm worried somewhat about Antonio Gibson. Now he keeps playing every single week, and we didn't mention him in the injury episode section because he does continue to play, but his snaps are going down and J.D. McKissic is going up. Do you think that if this is a PPR style league that you would start McKissic over Gibson in this situation? If it's PPR?
Maybe. I don't love it because I still feel like Gibson gives you that huge touchdown upside. Right. McKissic hasn't been bad. He's going to give you some solid. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a floor play, like just
I'm always looking for floor play.
Well, if you're talking about, gosh darn it, why do you make everything sexual, Jake?
I don't. You do.
You're the worst at everything. J.D. McKissic raises the floor of this team. And so I don't mind it if that's what you're trying to do. But just in general, I'm probably still going with Gibson for right now. But I did warn everybody last week that this could potentially continue to get worse. So if we see this trend continue, you're going to wish that you had looked for trades like what I told you guys to do last week.
Okay, perfect. Now, we've seen the team name. We've seen the handwriting. We've looked at the roster. Your score.
I'm going to give it a solid 4.5.
Ooh, you like this one so far.
I do. It's not so much the team quality as a whole, but I like that he drew a little bench.
Yeah.
I love the hashtags, and I just think in general I had a lot of fun talking about it. So
yeah, I did too.
It was very subtle handwriting mistakes, but we love them.
Yeah, I mean, any chance I get to say Dick Chubbington on the internet, I'm going to take it.
We're going to take it.
For Juan, you're going to get yourself a 4.69.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right, moving on. Next one. Now we have Bruce Exotics McFly. Okay. He's got some artwork to talk about. His team is Sherlock Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it. Slightly elementary, but it's okay.
It's punny.
It is punny. It is punny. He has a pumpkin as a helmet. So now we're getting to the whole time of year, festivities, Halloween. So the incorporation of the season we're in, that's a bonus point right there.
Bonus points.
he has drawn, wait a second. Okay. He's got me, so he drew himself.
Yeah, with headphones. I think he's the head coach.
Okay. And then he's got you, me, and Kyle.
Yeah, you're holding the play.
Okay, that's what I thought he drew me really fat to begin with, and that's why I wanted to zoom in real quick.
No. You're holding like a play card. And that's the play card reads his team. I like that.
Hey,
what's going on with Kyle's face?
That's just his face.
Well, it really is.
He's got some hair. He's got the hair going. He's got the glasses. Overall, we are heading in the right direction.
We're looking good.
We're looking way good. So now we move down from the artwork. What about the overall handwriting? Very legible. Very legible. I'm not seeing any huge mistakes other than his kicker is Yo. I think it's supposed to be a K.
K.
But it looks like the ink ran out for a second, so it looks like Y.Yo.
Yeah, like Yo. Like Yo. Man.
All right. Overall, he's got Mahomes, so he doesn't lose the points for having the drawing there, the team name. Yeah. And Kamara. Gaskin, I don't love as your running back too. You have Thielen, Cooks, Ertz, Sanders, Claypool. Who do you have on the bench? Melvin Gordon, Alexander Madison. Lazard didn't play. Robbie Anderson, Laviska Shenault, Knox, and Kittle. Okay. Nobody else there. Available play. Wow, he's even included waiver wire additions. Ronald Jones, Byron Pringle, Darius Slayton, Mo Cox, Mo Problems, Khalif Raymond, Jalen Reagor, KJ Osborne, Darnell Mooney, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know if I'm picking up any of those players.
No, probably not.
Not really. I mean, honestly, looking at the lineup, the one thing I feel maybe a little bit safer if I were to go Gordon over Gaskin, just due to the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that there's like a huge difference there. I'm not like all on board for Melvin Gordon. I just think he's slightly safer than Myles Gaskin. But outside of that, overall, I don't hate it whatsoever. He says he's 3-4. Looks like that's bleeding. He's a standard full PPR in a 12-team league. So what are you thinking, Ethan?
Yeah, this is probably, I can see how he's 3-4 for sure.
Yep.
Mahomes even, has had some rough games. I mean, they're 3-4 too. If Mahomes can turn around, this team could potentially make a run in the second half of the year. So I wouldn't panic quite yet. He's had some bad luck with his tight ends. I'm assuming he used a big or one of his first few picks on George Kittle. That's really going to kill you.
That hurts.
I don't advise drafting George Kittle where you're probably having to draft him. So that sucks. And then he probably replaced him with Dawson Knox, and then he got hurt. So now he's up to Ertz. Not a horrible tight end to throw in there. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't really see anybody that I'm, like you said, Melvin Gordon for Gaskin is probably the only one that's obvious to me. I might, just because I don't think the team is amazing, I might consider throwing like a Laviska Shenault in for Emmanuel Sanders, just to kind of raise, the floor of the team, or the ceiling. I mean, I think that Shenault has at least more upside, just given the number of targets that he's going to get with the team that's probably playing from behind almost all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, overall, the team is probably right where I expect it to be. The drawing's great though. So
yeah. So
points for that.
We got the team name, the drawing, the handwriting, the overall squad. What's your score?
I'm going to go with a solid 4 here, 0.1. Because 4.1. I like it. I like the drawing. The drawing is getting a lot of points here.
Honestly, the way the drawing is put together with the pumpkin themed helmet, us on there, some stick figures, holding the play card, I have a hard time not going 4.96.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
so
we're giving a lot of points for the
if it wasn't for the team was a little bit better. That was crossed out, it would be a perfect team. But he made the one mistake and just crossed it out and wrote it over the top.
Yeah, I wish the team was just a little bit stronger. I can't quite go that high, but I can see where you did.
Oh yeah, I'm full looking on the big picture here. All right, next one, Maxo. Maxo says, Hop off my Chubb. I thought it said mop off my Chubb. Or no, it says mop off my woods. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
it
got
says
Chubb on the
mop
brain from the
off
last
my
one.
woods.
Mop
But I
off
think
my
it's
woods.
supposed to be
Hop.
hop off my woods.
That's definitely an M. It's got a little thing hanging down right there. That's an M.
Yeah. Okay. Hop off my woods. I love that his little drawing on the side, I believe, is the reception that DeAndre Hopkins made that was kind of contested.
That's the Hail Murray.
That's the Hail Murray. You would know.
I would.
And his team is pretty stacked. 10 team, full PPR, 4-3. I can see why he's 4-3. This is probably a championship level team, but his injury reserve, man, hurting right now. CMC, Jerry Jeudy, you're hoping you're getting something out of Michael Thomas. No promises there. No promises on Thomas's.
Oh.
Yeah. He's starting studs. Okay. He's got Kyler Murray, James Robinson, Damian Harris, DeAndre Hopkins, who I don't believe has come back in the game yet. He
has.
Oh, he has. Okay.
He
good.
has.
Last I heard he hadn't. So
yes,
he's dealing with a hamstring issue, but it sounds like he is playing again, which is good. Robert Woods, TJ Hockenson, Antonio Gibson. This is a good starting lineup.
Yeah, overall solid.
Even with the injuries.
Yeah.
This is
if he can get healthy,
lineup.
he's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you though.
Go ahead.
The bench though, there's one name on this bench that I'm feeling like is probably a must start. Or
I was waiting for you to finish. I was waiting. I didn't want to interrupt you, Ethan, because you were on a roll. But I'm definitely throwing Cordero Patterson in my flex for Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, and
I am definitely doing that.
If you're playing in a format that has Cordero Patterson still listed as a wide receiver and a running back, I would also consider throwing him in for Robert Woods.
Yes, it all depends.
If he has that eligibility. If he doesn't, then yeah, I think I would still put him in at that flex. He's getting a ton of usage.
100%.
And I feel like he's kind of earned it. Like you just have to give it to him until you can't. So outside of that, good drawing. Solid work. Knew what it was, even though it's not, he's not an artist, but
no,
you can tell what that is, which is good enough.
Yeah, 100%. We got the team name. The handwriting is very legible. No major mistakes that I can see here at first glance. We knew the artwork. The team overall solid. What are you giving it, Ethan?
I'm gonna give it a 3.97.
Oh wow, I was expecting at least something in the 4s. God.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I'm tough here. All these teams are very similar. This is probably the better team. One of the better teams we've seen tonight, but the drawing, the little dangly thing on the hop off my woods.
I don't understand the little thing on the bottom of mop right there. It makes me question it, or hop, whatever you want to call it. So I had to make a slight deduction. It's a 4.12.
Okay, there you go.
And the last one we're doing here, then we're going to go into the mailbag real quick. Your mom plays fantasy football. And I guess it all depends on how you say that, whether it's derogatory or not. I don't think this is in a derogatory way. I think this is someone's mom that's playing fantasy football. Yeah. Artwork, definitely something I could pay attention to. I mean, caught the movie reference right off the bat.
It's terrifying.
I'm afraid. I'm not making eye contact with it.
I can't stop.
The team name is, I'm guessing, is Football Matters.
Hashtag Football Matters.
Hashtag Football Matters. 5-2 and a 14-team PPR.
Yeah.
So we like the drawing. Got different colored markers down here that we used, or pens, so we can see a little bit of a contrast here. I like that. I like the drawing. I think there's a reference to the Steelers there. I don't really like that because I'm not a Steelers
There is
fan.
A reference to the Steelers kind of baked into that drawing.
Yeah, 100%.
It is, but I love it.
Okay, now the overall team. Tom Brady, we're okay with.
Yep.
Deebo and Mike Williams, I think we're okay with.
Yep.
James Conner and Javonte Williams, not exactly my ideal backfield. Not bad.
Yeah, it's not great. Well,
it's just not a ceiling backfield.
It looks like she had Dima in there at one point. So
yes,
there's worse hodgepodge backcourts at this point.
Yes.
You
got Gesicki as a tight end. Only option on the bench is Jalen Waddle, and I'm not putting him in over Deebo or Mike Williams. So it looks like a pretty shallow bench. Trying to score on Herbert and Michael Carter off of waivers. That would be great because I would like to have them on my bench if possible.
Yeah, and Khalil Herbert should have been picked up in 4-team leagues.
Much those 14-teamers.
That is, you should have got him 2 weeks ago, or at least last week.
Yeah, we were telling people about we've been talking about Herbert since the offseason on Headliner U. This kid is not some flash in the pan. He's got skills. So yeah, the fact that he's still out there,
pick him up. I would pick up Michael Carter too. Just
100%.
with where the running backs are. You know, you never know when these guys are going to pop off for a couple good games in a row. You want to make sure you don't have to fight on waivers for them, especially in a 14-team league. You're 5-2, probably behind Brady and Samuel for the most part. Maybe Mike Williams got you a few wins to start the year. Yeah, overall, not a bad team, but definitely pick up some running back depth.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so now we've seen the team name, the handwriting, the artistic work here, and the overall team. Your score?
I'm going to give it a 4.42 because of the Steelers reference mostly, even though it kind of scares me.
I'm doing a 3.27 because Khalil Herbert wasn't picked up 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you should watch the videos. We will tell you about it.
Yeah, he was a stud. He was worth picking up. But that was it. That's Show Us Your Teams. Make sure you're following us on Twitter because we tweet this out every single week asking for submissions, and we have a lot of fun doing it. But now that we've done it, Ethan, let's dip in the mailbag here for a minute.
Dip in the mailbag.
The first thing we got here is from Liam Hughes. He wrote a paragraph. It says, love the amount of effort you guys put into making sure we all know who to start and sit, and you guys always look at our teams on Fridays, but was wondering how are your teams doing this year and who's got more bragging rights almost halfway through the season. So this is what I did. I got a slide here I'm going to put up. This is just an overall snapshot of where me and Ethan currently sit on our team. So we're going to start off with Ethan here. He's got on the screen 6 leagues that he is in. Looks like they're all through Sleeper. Right now, Ethan has a combined record of 31-18. So overall, all things considered, Ethan, you're doing pretty good, my friend. Not too bad here. Every team, with the exception of one, is over 500. So that is a good thing. Definitely overall, pretty solid. It looks like you have potentially some games that you're going to struggle with this week. But outside of that, overall, you look pretty good.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about these leagues. Okay, first off, you might be looking at that record and saying that doesn't make any sense. We haven't played that many games. You'll see the top league does give a win every week if you beat the median number of points scored in the week. Really recommend that because actually all 3 of those losses were to teams putting up either their best score of the year thus far or their second best score of the year thus far. And so even though I did lose 3 matchups, I got the median points win, which helps kind of differentiate the teams. It takes out some of the bad luck of just playing teams on their best week. That team would actually be, I believe, 4-3 if we didn't have those median wins. So those are definitely something that if you're looking for a little bit more fair way, I recommend that, and Sleeper lets you do that. You might be asking why I'm in an 18 dynasty league. That's the only team that's losing. It's because I took over an orphan last year from a guy that basically bailed on the league right in the middle. His team is terrible. I'm doing my best. Okay,
but you're not going to be a douche, are you?
To rebuild it. We are not allowed to be douches in that league. And it's a bunch of local guys. So that's why it's an 18 league. It's a home league. We have a good time. We go to my parents' pool and draft every year. So it's a party. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm
perfect.
You know, I've had some tough losses this year against the top scoring team when I was like one of the top 3 scoring teams. So, you know, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we'll throw up my teams. I'm not in as many leagues anymore, Ethan, because to be honest, I ain't got time to hardly set my own lineups. I'm making too many videos a week to worry about it. But I have here 4 leagues that I'm in, 3 of them on Sleeper, 1 through Fantrax here. I am 5-2 in every single league. So I'm guessing 5-2 is my number.
Consistency.
Exactly. I'm very consistent. However, I do want to point out that if you followed us here throughout the preseason, we offered a $1,000 best ball challenge. As many people wanted to enter as we're able to. We had 332 people enter this tournament. It's best ball, and as of right now, I'm sitting 9th out of 332. So you better believe I'm coming for the people's money because I play for keeps, Ethan. I play for keeps. I'm
Jake
not out
is
here just
a
giving it away.
savage.
I'm trying to win it. Yo, boy, K3V, I am coming for you. I'm coming for that top spot, and I'm getting close. But overall,
I'm afraid.
you should be afraid. Overall, like I said, 5-2. I'm fine with that in all these leagues. All things considered, lots of injuries, just like everybody else. Me and Ethan play each other next week in the TFH Team Dynasty League. So next week is when I absolutely put a whooping down on the dock. And by then I'll be like 7-2 or so.
Yes. And do we bring back last year's the famous bag challenge?
Yeah, because
The
we face
loser
each
has
other.
to wear a paper bag.
Do you have the bag still?
It's around here somewhere. It's around here somewhere.
I beat Ethan in the playoffs, and he had to do a show with a paper bag on. It was
Well,
funny.
we started the show with a paper bag.
Yeah, you
it's
didn't do the
around
whole
here
show.
somewhere. I have it somewhere.
Okay, well, get it ready because we may do that again.
We're
Okay,
not gonna. I'm not gonna need it because I'm gonna beat you next week.
No, perfect. Next comment here. Thanks for that one, Liam. Says Ryan A. I've been holding on to Marlon Mack in hopes he goes to a team and becomes the RB1. Do you think he will be traded before the deadline? And if so, who do you think will snag him? Honestly, I'm not even worried about Marlon Mack. If he goes somewhere, he's not going to go somewhere where he's going to just be a running back one. He may be the team's running back one, but honestly, where's he going to go in a situation that's going to be good enough to put him atop rankings again? I don't see it happening, maybe in the offseason, but right now I'm not overly concerned about Marlon Mack. I'm not rostering him on any of my teams. I'll let somebody else deal with that headache and tie up that bench spot.
Yeah, the problem is that he's on a 1-year deal coming off an Achilles rupture. Most teams are going to stay away completely. They don't want him to come, have an injury, and then you're paying him to sit on your bench. He's not good enough to be the locked-in starter anywhere. He's really, honestly, probably not going to be an upgrade for even some of these teams that have not great running back options. So most teams are not going to trade anything for him. He just doesn't have there's no value there. So you're not going to trade a 7th round pick for a guy that's probably not going to get re-signed next year. So no, I'm not holding on to him if it's me.
Perfect. Next one. D5 Slow. Should I still roll with Gibson? I have P. Ryan and Darrell Williams on the bench as pivots. Personally, this week my rankings just came out here. I have Darrell Williams at running back 17, and right now I have Gibson at running back 25. So I'm personally pivoting towards Darrell Williams. I know that offense hasn't looked great in Kansas City, but he's going to have the scoring opportunities. He's really not splitting touches with anybody at this point. Jerick McKinnon really isn't a thing there. I expect Kansas City to figure it out at some point. So me, personally, with Gibson not being 100%, I'm going to pivot over to Darrell Williams.
Yeah, I agree. I think Darrell Williams has a chance for a big week. They're going up against the Giants, and that team's not very good. So we could see this Chiefs team turn it around real quick. And I think Patrick Mahomes, it sounds like he's not going to let this team lose. So I'm probably going with Darrell Williams over Gibson. But like you said, they're kind of right next to each other. It's really a coin flip. I agree with Jake, though. Darrell Williams over Gibson for this week specifically.
Got it. On to Ray Ray. What up, Ray Ray? Says, what do you do with Michael Thomas? No idea when he'll be available. We kind of touched on him a little bit earlier. At this point, though, in my opinion, Ethan, we're going into week 8. You're kind of pot committed at this point because you held on to him for 8 weeks. At this point, you might as well just continue holding on to him because you can't really trade him for anything. His value isn't super high right now, especially in redraft leagues because there is no exact timeline. So me, personally, you've held him for this long, unfortunately. We tried to push as many people away from drafting him. I understand the draw to it, but it could literally be another 2, 3, 4 weeks. Heck, it could be all season. We really have no idea. It's not like they're on the greatest of terms in New Orleans there either. So honestly, I think you're kind of stuck with him right now.
Yeah, sorry, Ray Ray. The answer is probably better. This question was probably better asked before the season started, and I would have said you need to buy the draft guide and hear what I say about Michael Thomas and his injury. Because I said don't draft him, especially after we found out that he was going to miss half the year to start. And so you kind of have to hold him, man. Sorry, this sucks. This is why I don't draft injured players almost ever. If they're expected to miss really any games, they shouldn't be on your team. They're just going to be a headache.
Yep, exactly. Especially when you're talking about this late into the season. All right, next up, Derek Jansen. Thoughts on Mike Williams' rest of season? Is he the number one option in LA, or should we look for one more big game and try to sell high? Me, personally, I'm buying the hype of Mike Williams. As long as he's healthy, I'm keeping him and I'm starting him, because the way this offense is being run in LA, sure, I guess you can say he's quote unquote the number one because he's had bigger games than Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is still getting volume and they still throw the ball a lot in LA. So Mike Williams, in my opinion, as long as he's healthy, I'm keeping him. I'm not selling the guy all year long.
Yeah, I'm holding on to Mike Williams as well. You probably drafted him as a wide receiver 4 or 5, and he's giving you wide receiver 2 or 1. This is what we call league winners.
Yes.
Those are the types of players that help you win leagues. They just raise everything about your team, floor, ceiling, everything. You hit the lottery, man. This is you ride this. You ride this and you hope that it ends up in a fantasy championship. You don't get cute with it unless you're talking about upgrading. When you say upgrading, you better be upgrading to like Davante Adams.
Yeah, there's not very many upgrades to go to that somebody's going to part with.
Yeah, there's just not that many. I mean, you pretty much have to upgrade to somebody that's you're not going to be able to get. I guess Stephon Diggs would maybe be the one guy that's like maybe not playing as well that could be considered in that next tier, but I'm probably holding on to Mike Williams at this point.
Yep, 100% agree. All right, that's the mailbag. So we've gone through all the injuries. We've done some show us your teams. We've dipped in the mailbag, and now week 8 is right around the corner. We're heading into the weekend. Looking forward to it. Don't forget, though, make sure you check out our weekend tailgate show. We do it every Friday afternoon. We got a delicious recipe coming up this week. We're going to be opening up the Pristine Auction mystery box. I got it sitting right here. We have no idea what's in there because there's more goodies to give away. So looking forward to doing that. So make sure you tune in later today. Looking forward to doing that. But hopefully the injuries start to dwindle. The bye week from hell is over, and hopefully we can kind of get back on track here and really start putting together a lot of wins and make a run towards the playoffs. So for the doc and for myself, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.